Tons of wrestling news stories in today's video. They're big. You don't want to miss it. Go ahead and click subscribe. Timestamps in the description down below. Let's kick things off with Lince Dorado. He has announced on Twitter that he's no longer taking bookings for 2023. He'll continue his bookings for 2022. And that was pretty much it. Now, of course, anytime a wrestler announces that they're no longer taking bookings, the first response from people on social media is that that individual is going to the WWE because they've signed and WWE won't allow them to take bookings or whatever it may be. And that could very well be the case here. There's no specification here from Lince Dorado, but one thing I also want to point out is that can't be the only possible outcome here. Other possible outcomes, perhaps Lince Dorado wants to just take a break. Maybe Lince Dorado just wants to do something different for a little bit. Maybe he wants to take a vacation, you know? So I don't want to jump the gun and say that Lince Dorado is coming back to WWE, but I do want to pay attention to the story as time goes on because I think Lince Dorado is a fantastic free agent. And with WWE making changes to NXT, and of course ROH is possibly getting a TV deal soon, you got to imagine that both companies would probably more than likely want to use him in some capacity. So is it because he is, is he not taking bookings for 2023 because he might have a future in AEW or WWE? That's something to keep in mind. But of course, it's really hard to jump the gun here, but it's a story I want to pay attention to because, again, I think he's a really good free agent. When you look at AEW and what they have with Rey Fenix and Penta and all of these other incredible talents, I think Lince Dorado, from an in-ring perspective, will do very well in AEW ROH. And then obviously Tony Khan is looking at splitting up that roster in some sort of capacity. So definitely a story to pay attention to. I'll keep you guys updated as we get more information on Lince Dorado. I want to talk about Gran Metalik. Just a couple weeks ago, we talked about him making his debut in Impact Wrestling. Now, Gran Metalik, the former WWE Cruiserweight, was at AEW Dark Elevation. And what's really interesting here is that Dark Elevation is kind of the platform that is used for Tony Khan to see if he wants to sign this person before he ends up signing them. And the thing about Dark Elevation, did I say evolution or elevation? Nonetheless, Dark Elevation, Gran Metalik went over in his match. And so he wasn't being used to pad somebody else's record or anything else. I'm very intrigued to see if AEW has some interest in Gran Metalik. Obviously, when it comes to Gran Metalik showing up in Impact and not signing a full-time deal with Impact, that means he could very well sign a full-time deal with AEW. The deals that people sign on Dark or for Dark or Dark Elevation, those are typically per appearance contracts. So, hey, come in, work a match, I'll pay you for it, and we'll take a look at you. I like Gran Metalik just as much as I like Lince Dorado. I thought both of them were great. I just didn't feel like WWE, specifically Vince McMahon, knew what to do with them, and therefore they were released by the company. And I think Vince McMahon kind of dropped the ball with that. And I think Vince McMahon drops the ball typically a lot when it comes to the high flyers and the people that don't look like Brock Lesnar. So it's one of those things where it's kind of disappointing, but at this point with Ring of Honor, they're gonna need their own roster. Lince Dorado, Gran Metalik, both of those names are names I think would be completely fine. And I think, if you really, really want to, I know ROH and AEW are expected to kind of share a roster in certain ways, with tag team matches and all of these different possibilities. If I'm AEW, maybe these are two names I'd be looking at. I thought this was a very interesting story, guys, and I couldn't believe that it's actually out. Vince McMahon he might be at WrestleMania 39. So, for those who don't know, the U.S. Sun had reported that there are discussions of having Vince McMahon inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2023. This is obviously a big deal because Vince McMahon stepped down from the WWE earlier this year. And, this would be his first appearance on WWE programming since leaving the company. Now, keep in mind, WrestleMania 39 is going to be the first WrestleMania under the complete leadership of Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, and of course, Nick Khan. The excitement for WrestleMania 39 is already happening right now. Like, people are already excited for this pay-per-view because there are just so many rumors. There's so many things that WWE is constantly doing on TV. And people want to see what Triple H is going to do. I think Clash at the Castle was a great taste. But this idea that Vince McMahon is going to return to WWE for an appearance, is it shocking? No, I don't think it's shocking. I don't think so. Also, you got to keep in mind, I think maybe the thought process here from WWE is, hey, WrestleMania, it's kind of a bit of time away. It's a long time away from this. So, maybe by then it won't be a big deal that Vince McMahon ends up showing up. I don't know exactly what the hell to expect here. Does Vince McMahon just literally show up and wave? Does he cut a promo? Does he talk to people? I mean, what actually happens? It would be very interesting to see how a Vince McMahon Hall of Fame induction goes down, just based on everything that has happened this year with Vince McMahon. Speaking of those big changes, right, we got to talk about this. WWE NXT, if you guys follow the channel, I've been keeping you updated on everything happening to WWE NXT. August 18th, 2022, I made the video letting you guys know that 2.0 was shutting down. We were 100% correct on that. Obviously, WWE is making these massive changes. WWE is moving forward with the intent of making the best possible wrestling sports entertainment product out there. And now we know some of the things that we were talking about before. Now we know it's come to the point where WWE NXT takeovers are being planned to return. We know that WWE NXT is essentially going to be a hybrid brand of everything that NXT ever was. We also know that a ton of NXT UK talent are coming to America to join the NXT brand, white, black, and gold. We also know that the NXT 2.0 presentation is going away. WWE did some tapings. That's going to be the last of it. WWE will begin construction for the new set and the new reveal at the Performance Center. We know that NXT takeovers are coming back. We've been talking about this for weeks. So why is WWE making this massive change? Why did WWE decide to move forward with this? And that is because Triple H understands that you need to have an alternative product to the brand that you already have. And if you can have an alternative product to the company that also carries this ideology of developing talent, then you are literally covering all aspects of your business. And what I mean by that is WWE will be able to satisfy the hardcore audience. WWE will be able to satisfy the casual audience, even if NXT is not generating the most money. You got to keep in mind, NXT was pretty damn successful for a long, long time, despite not getting a massive budget. Now, I'm not saying Triple H and Stephanie and Nick Khan should allocate a whole bunch of funds to this massive budget for NXT. But what I think is, if you put a little bit more attention to NXT going forward, you're going to see the overall benefits go onto Raw and SmackDown. We already know on WWE Raw, the commentators were promoting NXT. That is completely different from anything WWE ever does, because it's usually USA Network putting on a commercial, but now you got WWE talent promoting NXT. There is clearly a massive change that is undergoing on this brand, and you know what? It is a developmental brand. It is a third brand, no matter which way you look at it. But this is the brand. When you bring in takeovers and you bring in UK talent and you bring in all of these different assets, I think this is where NXT just simply gets really, really good. And by the sounds of it, based on the polls, it seems like you guys are really enjoying NXT as well. Let me know what you guys think down below.